Hey everyone, Adam here, So Wizard Podcast. I have another interview for you today, and this one's a little different from my usual interviews that I've been doing. I got to sit down with three people from the new movie Questions. I got to sit down with the writer, director, creator, and one of the leads, Avery Waddell, who's been around a long time. He's been in some really great stuff. Check out his IMDb. I also got to sit down with Carmen Serano, who was one of the main actresses in the movie, and she's also been in many projects that you'll recognize her from. And I got to sit down with Derrex Brady, again, hardworking actor. You're definitely going to recognize this guy. Check out his IMDb. But all of these people knock it out of the park in Questions. Questions was a movie that was not on my radar, and I really, really enjoyed. It took me by surprise in the best way a movie can. It's a cool take on romance in movies and relationships. It is not a romantic comedy. We get into that in the interview. It was a high energy, really fun interview. These people are great. It feels like you're hanging out with friends watching this movie and talking to them, so hopefully that comes across in the interview. Check it out. All right, well, thanks everybody for taking the time to come on. I'm really looking forward to this. Should be a lot of fun. I guess we could start at the beginning. And how did everyone get involved in Questions? And I guess you have your name here as Zion, but Avery or
yeah, it's I have three kids, and they jump on the Zoom and change names and jump when they're doing that thing. So Zion is my son's name.
All right.
I'm Avery. So
okay.
But,
I just changed my screen name Avery too because Naya had her name on it.
Yeah, I saw that. Okay, so I guess for you, Avery, it would be how did you get the idea for Questions? Because it seems like you've been involved since the very beginning.
Yeah. Well, I wrote the very, very first draft of this. I wrote way back in '96. And so what it was at that time.
He was a baby.
Yeah.
No, I'll put that out there.
I came up with the idea while I was still in the womb. I was still in my mom's womb, and I was obviously a lot younger. But at the time, I was a little bit frustrated with kind of all the movies that were out at the time that were featuring people of color. So at that time, it was. And some of them were great movies, but they were all kind of the same subject matter. So at that time, it was a lot of like New Jack City, Boys in the Hood, South Central, Don't Be a Menace to Society, all street flicks, hood flicks, which, important stories to tell. But I've always said, everybody, variety is the spice of life. So I was just kind of like, and at that time, I was a huge fan of Woody Allen movies. I just loved the humor. I loved the stuff he talked about. And I was like, man, how come there are no movies like this, featuring people who look like me? And so I decided to start writing one. And that's how Questions was born. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. And now that you say Woody Allen, I do see some of that influence in there. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
All right. Carmen, how about you? How did you get involved in Questions?
Well, I got involved in Questions from Derrex. So Derrex are he's like my brother, and our
right.
goes back 20 plus years. So my trust and respect for him runs very deep. And so when he told me that he was part of this project, I said yes even before I read the script. It was just like he asked me if I could be involved. He told me about the character, and then when I read the character, I fell in love with her. I just thought she was great. And I was just grateful for the opportunity. I loved the script. I loved what Avery was doing. I absolutely just was so excited about the opportunity to work with them.
Very cool. So Derrex, how about you? How did you first get involved?
Avery and I, we knew a mutual friend, and we worked on a project together that Avery was producing and writing and directing. One day he nonchalantly was like, "Hey man, I wrote something. You want to check it out? I think I got something for you." And I read it, and I just thought it was really written well, and I felt like it was something that was timeless. And so I jumped on it with Abe, and then not only it was an amazing opportunity to be one of the actors in it, but also I came on as a producer. So we came together and just was working and built a good brotherhood, a great brotherhood, and we made a film, man. So that's how I got involved.
Very cool. And I like that you said that it's timeless, because when Avery mentioned you wrote it in 96, I was going to ask how much had to be changed for now, but it doesn't seem like maybe add in cell phones.
Well, you saw the pager, right, Adam?
That's true. Yeah, not even adding in cell phones for everybody.
Yeah, no, actually, we had a thing, Derrex and I and our other producer who's not able to be with us today, Mark Etienne. We had a thing a little bit over the script because, well, first, to answer your question, it changed quite a bit from that 96 draft to its current incarnation. But a lot of that is just because, thankfully, there started to be more movies that were kind of talking about Black romance and all of these kind of things. And some of them had some of what I felt, some things that were similar. So I went in and changed things around. But then also, too, the movie kind of grew with me. So as I got older and had more experiences in life and love and all of these things, I went in and tried to reflect those more in the script as well. So over time, it definitely changed a lot from 96. But Derrex and Mark and I had an interesting thing about the whole, there's a pager bit in the movie. Mm-hmm. The lead character, Omar, still uses a pager. And when we were going into production, Derrex and Mark thought that I should take that out because they felt like, oh man, pagers are so old. Nobody uses them anymore. And that was precisely what I thought was hilarious about it. So we went back and forth, and it ended up staying. And that's one of the things everybody talks about all the time. Like that pager bit is hilarious. So yeah. But it's funny. It was when you brought up technology, that popped into my head. So
that's true. That's a really good point. And I like that it was a comedy bit, but you also had it be part of the plot, and it came back to bite him.
Yeah.
Another thing that I liked about this movie that I thought was different from a lot of, I don't even really want to call it a romantic comedy, because I feel like a romantic comedy, here's your template and that's what you do. It's a comedy with romance in it. I liked that you told both sides. You told the male perspective, the female perspective. Was that always part of it?
Yes, but not as good as it turned out at the end. So the first drafts of it, like I said, I was much younger, and I was really just more or less interested in explaining, my side of things, and that was it. But like I said, as the script changed and as I grew and I got older, and then then I got married, and then I had different. And before I got married, I had different girlfriends, and different experiences. And so as I grew and had all these experiences, after a while, it became important to me, like, yo, you know what? Because I had a couple of arguments or, conversations with some of the females in my life over the years that I was just like, I mean, I could see where you're coming from, but man, I didn't get it, right? Like, I understood, like, that logically, that makes sense. And so I decided to try to explore it more in questions. And so it wasn't always that way. That definitely became something that was more a part of it as time went on.
Nice. I really like that aspect of it. And Carmen, sorry to sing you up, but you're the woman here. Did you get to put your own spin or your own take more so on your character than maybe you normally would?
I think so. The guys were just super supportive and really trusted me with whatever I brought. And I felt like the character was very similar to me. I've also run businesses, and so she just felt really comfortable, and the guys just kind of let me go, and they were just so, again, it was just such a supportive cast and space and crew, and everybody was just so, it was just such a family atmosphere, and I think that comes across like also in the film. Just everybody being so, like, there was such a camaraderie and such, again, respect for for each of us as actors, as artists. And so, yeah, I feel like Tara was a little, like me, and I got to add, my thing in there. And the guys were just great. And it was great to work off of Avery. I mean, he wrote it, but also he acted in it. Just so wonderful to be able to play off of him. He gave me so much, and it was just so fun.
I think that's one of the things that I really loved about the script is that Avery, like a lot of times when you have these romantic comedies, it's like dumbed down, right? Like the guy's dumb, he's stupid. The women are like, why is he stupid? and that's not the case in this. It's like really a language that is just sometimes misunderstood. But what I loved is that he wrote powerful women.
Really?
Like Carmen's character, she's running a real company, right? And it's got many employees, and she's a powerhouse. She's a boss. But I thought that was great how Avery he did not shy away from writing really strong characters on both sides, men and women. And I think that's some of the magic that's in there.
Yeah. Well, I've always thought that, when you have well-rounded characters, it just makes everything a lot more interesting. I've always tried as much as possible to shy away from archetypes, archetypes. I want real people, real experiences, and there's just much more to mind that way, or mine that way. To me. So, and it seemed to work pretty well with this. But yeah, and as far as the strong women, I mean, again, like I said, I there were a lot of strong women who called me out on a whole bunch of stuff, like I said, as this stuff was growing. And so that's why it was also very important to me to represent, strong women. I mean, that they're the ones who made me see a lot of the stuff that, a lot of the BS that I was doing at certain times and all these kind of things. I'm like, oh, dang, okay. So yeah, I definitely have to represent strong women. Yeah.
And nice. That's rare. I think that's rare, in a lot of script writing and a lot of the things that I've read. And so it was just, again, one of those things that I was even more drawn to after. I mean, of course I said yes before I even read it, but after reading it, I was so impressed with the way he wrote women. I was just so impressed. It just felt like such a breath of fresh air to be part of this. And again, to get the opportunity to play the character that I played. And then all the other women too. It was just so, every woman in the film, I felt like had a strong presence, and she was written very respectfully and very well. So,
and you killed that character, Carmen. You killed it.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
It was amazing.
Carmen was incredible. And I would like to throw in a note. It was so funny because working with Carmen, I was acting the whole time, even when the camera wasn't rolling, because I was trying to keep it inside, but I was super excited and crazy nervous because all I kept thinking every time I looked at Carmen was like, yo, man, the principal from Breaking Bad, which was, Breaking Bad, one of the best shows ever. And I was just like, yo. So the whole time I'm trying to be cool, like, yeah. No, okay, you got to be the director, man. So, I was inside, I was just like, oh, this is crazy.
It's funny you bring that up, because when I was, doing a little bit of prep before this, I saw like, oh, Breaking Bad. I love Breaking Bad. But like, no, it's not what this is about. So not only did you write a good balance in the script between telling this points of view, male and female, and you wrote strong female characters, but you also gave all of your male characters weren't just like, and here's the men's side. Like each of the four were all individuals. And Derrex, you got to kind of do not quite role reversal in like a real world sense, but in a romantic comedy sense.
Well, listen, Adam, the way I see it is, Justin, I love Justin. And, it could seem like, okay, this guy's just, man, he's all in, all chips. He's not holding anything back. But I think Justin, the cool thing and the magical thing about Justin is that he's not the guy that has to lose the girl to figure out what he had, right? Mm-hmm. He's trying to really give her flowers while he's with her, right? And that was, I think, that what I had to find. Because at first on surface, it was like, okay, so this guy just, he just let his girl walk all over him. I mean, I even said to Abe, I was like, so, like, what we go? She looking at people like, what we doing? So, but it was a story there. That was her idea of how to keep me, right? Is to keep me in the chase and keep me in the hunt. And my idea was like, you have me, so let's just appreciate each other. And I like the complexity of Justin, and I like being able to explore that from a different side.
Yeah, that was really well done, and it was very subtle. It never like beat you over the head with it. Like she never had to come out and say, "This is what I'm doing."
Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
Definitely.
I love that so much because there are just like Derrex said, there's so many complexities, in relationships, and to see that, I love what you said, Derrex, about Justin, because it's like, if you have me, why do we have to play games, right?
Yeah.
If you have me, and we're in this together. Why can't we be? Why can't we openly show each other how much we care about each other? But that is so missed, because in relationships, it's like who's stronger than the other? It's the one who loves less, right?
Right.
That's what we're taught. And so I love that you wrote that, Avery. I love that, and that, that coming to realize that, look, I don't want this. If this is what this is going to be, I'm leaving. So it was never that Justin, was played, because he wasn't.
Right.
And it was showing that you could have a good man and appreciate him as long as you don't have to play the games. We don't have to always battle.
Yeah.
I love this. I just love
That's why I like that scene in the end. I won't tell for anybody that hasn't seen it, but there's a little balance.
Yeah, that scene in the end was very strong, very memorable, and unfortunately we can't dive too deep without giving away a big chunk of the ending.
Yeah.
But very well done.
Thank you.
So
when was this all shot? Was it 2019?
Did you see the length of my hair? So it was like really short.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. That's a dead giveaway. So principal photography was actually in 2015, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And, because we very small budget and all these things, it took post-production, took a while and all of these things. And so it finally went out on the festival circuit in 2018. So, and then that's when it won the HBO Best Feature Film Award and a bunch, most notably, and did really well, won a bunch of other awards on the festival circuit, and then finally got it out to the masses in 2020. So, yeah.
Nice. Well, that's good. It happened pre-2020. Did you get to go to the festivals and like travel with your movie?
I did. And that was a crazy experience because, you put something together and you put it out there and there's no way to know how people are going to respond to it. You can just have a hope, but sometimes when those hopes are met and actually, superseded, if you would, the reaction from the audiences was something I for whatever reasons never quite imagined. It was really overwhelming. So the festival circuit with this film was a crazy experience. Just to be in a room full of hundreds of people, literally just laughing and, in some cases, crying. But there were a few people just crying from laughter at a couple of times. It was really overwhelming. And then, it was to the point to where there were a couple of times when we would have Q&As and and they would have to shut it down because people would keep wanting to talk about it and it would start running into other programs and all these kind of things. And then there were a few times where people just were like, no, they refused. They were like, nah, I want to keep. So it was a really crazy experience on the festival circuit. And I was very, very happy that this was pre-COVID and everything when it was on the circuit. And I got a chance to go to every festival that it was in. I got a chance to go to it. So
that's awesome.
We did a screening. We did a screening in Burbank at the AMC.
Right. Yeah.
And I knew when people were in between the laughing and everything, when they started talking to the screen, when they were talking to the characters, I was like, okay, we have some engagement. When they were like, that's right, girl, say that. Or you have someone that says, no, don't let her do that. Or is he really not gonna call? So when I started seeing people talk to the screen, I was like, okay, We got engagement. If people are talking out loud, they're laughing out loud. That's good.
Yeah. And that was interesting, Derrex. I don't know if you remember, but in that particular screening, at that point, it was not quite finished.
Right.
So at that point, when we had that screening, the film was like, it was just under 3 hours. It was about 2 hours.
Adam, I've been talking through the whole journey about him cutting this film down. At that screening, it was so long. I was like, Avery, come on, bro. We gotta figure out how to let people go home.
Yeah. But you know what's crazy? We passed out these like, little questionnaires because part of what we wanted to happen in that screening was to get suggestions on what we could get rid of. Because I was kind of at the point where I was kind of like, the whole, writer, director in me was at the point where it's like, I can cut no more. Right. So I needed other input. And we got some, but the thing was that it wasn't as much as I was hoping for anyway, or that I think anyone was anticipating. I mean, because we actually got a whole bunch of notes from people saying like, yo, you don't need to cut anything. Just let it ride, let it go. And I was like, I wasn't expecting to get any of that. so we eventually did find some things to cut it down. But that was that screening was an interesting experience because of that.
That's got to be really thrilling for everybody to sit down with your movie, especially a rougher cut, and it hits where you want it to hit, and the people get the emotional response you want them to get. It's got to be surreal.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. And and Questions is, it was literally, my baby. I lived with it for so long, and so much of it is really, it's quite personal. It was it is really just amazing, the response, the people have been having to it. So yeah.
I think with it being personal is why so many people can connect with it, because everyone has their own unique voice, and you made this personal to your experience, but it's also so universal in a lot of ways. So you kind of hit both.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
I just want to say that's a really great point that you just said, Adam, because I had a friend, and normally, it wouldn't even be a thing to speak on color, but I have a friend that is a director, and Lance Tracy, great guy, and he's white. And one of the things that he said when he came to movie, he goes, Derrex, I had no idea with an all-black cast or majority black cast that I wouldn't even saw that this was a majority black cast. Like, I related to so many things in this film. It was just a movie about languages and, humanity and men trying to understand women and women trying to understand men. Like, that's what I got out of it. And I thought that was one of the biggest compliments, that's what he walked away with. I was really encouraged by that.
Yeah. It's a tricky thing, especially being, a filmmaker of color. It's like, or a specific type of filmmaker of color, because I've always said, especially now that representation is so much on the forefront of everybody's thoughts and minds, one of the things I've always said when it comes to representation is that it's important that it's varied. Like, it's great if there are going to be, a bunch of movies featuring minorities, a bunch more movies featuring minorities, but if they all kind of get pigeonholed into the same type of film, that's not necessarily a good thing. It's just like you just want to make sure that there's all kinds of different types of representation out there, and I think that was something we were able to achieve with Questions, and that's another thing, like just audiences of all types and even ages, which was kind of surprising. There was a screening that we did in Chicago, and there were some younger people in the audience, like 12 and 13-year-olds, and they watched the film, and afterwards they were just excited. They had as many questions about it and loved it just as much as the 40 and above people in the audience. So yeah, it's been fascinating how so many different people, regardless of race, age, even gender, been able to relate to this film in whatever way. Yeah.
I could absolutely see that.
Yeah.
Was someone saying something? Oh, I thought I was cutting somebody off. I heard something.
Oh.
So it's available now, or is it coming out soon?
It is available now. It's available on on iTunes, on Apple TV, Google Play, YouTube Movies, Amazon Prime. Excuse me, Amazon Prime, and what am I forgetting? Am I forgetting something, Derrex? I feel like I'm forgetting some.
Did you say the Gumroad one?
Oh, Gumroad. Yeah, no, Gumroad. It's available on Gumroad as well. Yeah. So basically, just about all the major streamers, it's available.
It's available.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Have you guys been getting good feedback? I mean, I would have to assume.
We have. We're pretty pleased with our Amazon review.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're pretty happy with that. It's people have been digging it. And it's just one of those films that turns out it just needs an audience.
Yeah.
And everything kind of falls into place with it. But
just have to get eyes on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Amazon's been the one where I don't know if it's because it's the way it's user friendly or what, but that's the one that's gotten like a lot of really encouraging reviews. So that's been good.
Yeah.
It's a fun movie. It's a fun movie, and it's so relatable. So incredibly relatable.
Yeah, definitely is. And it's lighthearted, but still tackles the subjects it needs to, and you just nailed it.
Yeah, well,
everybody.
Thank you. Yeah. It was such. I mean, it's amazing how it really came together because the cast. I mean, everyone. I mean, Derrex and Carmen were simply amazing. But everybody else was fantastic too. I mean, and even the way some of the casting came about too. I mean, because a couple of major characters ended up being last second moves.
Yeah,
and the fact that they came in and just knocked it out of the park the way they did on ridiculously short notice.
Marcuis, Jamila.
Yeah.
Y'all, bro.
Yeah. So it was really Christina. I mean, she was cast right. Yasmin as well. Both of them were cast like right before we started rolling.
That's right. We didn't find Yasmin in the audition process. That came a little later.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's funny you meant. Sorry, go ahead.
So no, they were all so good. Mm-hmm. They were so good. And then especially to have been like last minute, like so good.
Yeah, it's funny you bring that up because everyone felt so natural. Like you could have told me this was the 5th movie everyone made together. Like you just kept the same cast. It just felt. I know that's your job, but it also felt legitimate.
Yeah, I had the advantage of I've been fortunate over the years with my career, and so I've had the opportunity to be on a whole bunch of different sets, and I've seen every type of different set, and I've noticed that 9 times out of 10, it all starts with the tone the director sets, and when it's bad, it's real bad, right? And even though those experiences were horrible, I'm glad I had them because now that I'm starting to direct things and do things of that nature, I understand. I'm glad I had those experiences, so I know, like, oh, okay, I got to make sure we don't do this, and so I just kind of took all those experiences and tried as best as I could to keep it nice on set, to try to create an environment where people wanted to be there,
That was a big deal for us. We were really serious about protecting the energy of the set. And making sure that everything was like smooth and good. I mean, that was a big deal that was in the forefront of our minds. Because if you do that, then a lot of things fall into place.
Yeah.
And you're hearing that from the, creators, like producing, and as an actor who was brought in, I mean, I can totally attest to that. That's exactly what I felt. Whatever you guys were doing and as intentional as you were, I felt it, and it was just so good. And there's so many things like that you both are saying in here that I'm like, whoa, it's so funny, just even going back a little bit, how Derrex, you said, was an all Black cast, and then I'm like the majority of us right? And I'm like, oh my God, it was us. Didn't me either. I was like, that is so awesome.
Didn't feel like that, but yeah.
Really, and also I'm mixed, and so like I typically play, Carmen's and Maria's and whatever, because I look more Latin or whatever. But it was really cool to have the opportunity to play like just this woman who obviously looks ethnic, and and it was me, and I loved it, and I loved being part of all of that. I feel like we do need to representation, like you said, Avery, is so important. And also true representation. It's not like you have to look exactly like every other, you know what I mean? Like I don't look like the typical Black woman or whatever the typical Black woman looks like.
Sure.
Are we typical? Do we look typical? We come in all shades. You know, hair texture is all different textures, and we are all, and I just love that you did that. I love that the cast is just so beautiful. So beautiful. And if that sounds egotistical, I don't mean it.
No, go ahead.
But to look at it, it's so lovely. Like every woman, every man, everybody who was brought in and out, it's just so beautiful, because to me it looked very diverse. and because we're all in we're all different shades and whatnot. But I'm like, yeah, that was dope. I love that you did that. And then also to go back, like Ave, I saw you on The Wire. Like you have been on, a lot of different sets, and then to bring that to this and then to create this, atmosphere and to take, what you've learned. And I've been on a lot of sets too, and to be here and to feel what I felt, it was very genuine. It was very, very genuine and just dope. I can't wait to work with both of you again.
Yeah. It's this whole experience was one of those things where, in a lot of ways people are asking me, I say, well, this is one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life, and I cannot wait to do it again. It was really an amazing experience. And, it's just everybody who worked on it and all the capacities. Of course, obviously, as you can see with all the cast, but the crew as well. I mean, we had a fantastic crew, and just everything was just amazing. Everything was amazing. It really came together. Yeah.
One of the cool things I just want to add, Adam, and this is just for other filmmakers. A lot of times people want to try to go, vertical, right? To reach, they want to reach people vertical. And if people would take time and reach more lateral, right, they would see that a lot of their circle is really, really talented, because we didn't use any casting director really for this. This was like people we knew. This is, all this. These are resources that we had, and on both sides of the camera, and you can still make magic, And so that's like a really good thing to do, is that you'd be surprised what's right around you, in your circle, and what you can achieve. If you just take time to look.
I wasn't surprised. I mean, well, I was surprised with the people I didn't know, but I mean, Derrex, I'd been working with Derrex. I already knew what Derrex brought to the table, and even though I had never met Carmen, like I said, I was a huge fan of her work. So I already knew what she brought to the table. Marcuis, Danny Wooten, these are the other two lead guys in the film. I've known both of them for almost 20 years, or actually more than 20 years now. And incredibly talented guys. I knew what they brought to the table. And so, that was the thing that was cool for me, was just getting an opportunity to help showcase these monstrously talented people who, in my opinion, don't get enough opportunity to showcase that, what they can do, to be able to help the world see, like, yo, look at these people. That was, that was great. Because it was like, it was something, it was like a secret. I not a secret. But I felt like I was like, well, I already know, but now I want everybody else to, and so it was great to be able to do that a little bit. Yeah.
That's awesome. It all really did come together, and I mean, it's right there on the screen. Everything you're saying is backed up by your end product. So that's awesome.
Awesome.
Well, thank you guys so much for coming on. I don't want to eat up your whole day, but if you want to take a minute and tell everyone where they can find you on social media, whatever you want to promote.
Okay. D, want
okay. My social media on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter is Derrex Brady. That's my handle, and it's DERREX Brady, BRADY. And I have a series that's going to be coming out. I was in Atlanta for 3 months shooting that. It's called Johnson. You'll be able to see that on Bounce TV. And that starts airing in August. So please keep a lookout for that.
Yay.
Okay. I'm boring. I'm just Instagram. Carmen, Carmen Serano, Serano, on Instagram, and I'm now working on my book.
Great!
I'm back to writing my memoir, and I'm super excited about that. And I'm also life coaching, so I am a self-love and empowerment coach, and so that's been really fun for me. And so on my Instagram, there's like a link to my business Instagram, Worthy Journey. So.
Very cool.
And I'm Avery Kid Waddell on all the platforms. Well, I guess so Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And it's Kid is KIDD. And I am going to be actually start this week. I'm going to be on a show called True Story, Snowbird. It's a Netflix miniseries that I'm excited to be a part of, and I get a chance to work with Kevin Hart and Wesley Snipes, and and I start on that this week. So super excited about that.
Let's go.
Yeah. I'm not sure when that's going to air. Like I said, production's just getting started on that. So, and it's a miniseries. It's going to be 8 episodes. So, but just keep your ears to the ground and out. And if you go follow me on the social media, I'll certainly be posting about it. So yeah,
definitely. Well, thanks guys again. The movie's amazing. Everyone should go check out Questions wherever you get movies, Amazon Prime, VOD.
Yeah.
Thanks again.
Very well done. Big thanks to you, Adam. Thank you so much.
Definitely. Anytime.
Really appreciate it. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Take care.
All right. Take it easy.
Bye-bye.
Bye. I'd like to thank Avery Waddell, Carmen Serano, and Derrex Brady one more time for coming on the show. I really appreciate them taking the time to talk about Questions. Questions available on VOD. It's a very cool movie. It's out now. Go check it out. It's well worth it. It's a fresh take on what could be a tried and true genre, but since it's a fresh take, I'm not explaining it well enough. It's a cool movie. Check it out. Also, make sure you subscribe and like our channel. Helps us grow our audience. A lot more interviews coming your way. A lot more new movie coverage. You want to find the hidden gems like this. Also, be sure to listen to So Wizard Podcast every single week wherever you get your podcasts. SoWizardPodcast.com is your resource for reviews, recommendations, videos, merchandise, and more. So Wizard Podcast can also be found on Patreon, where for as little as $1 a month, you get multiple monthly bonus shows. And we love hearing feedback, so drop us a note in the comments or leave us something on social media. Thanks.